grab the northern lights. Baby, you just kick your feet up while I kick back. I roll one with you by my side.
Hey everybody, it's Nyemade, or that African butterfly, as I'm known on social media, and I'm here with another episode of Bold, Black, and Addicted to Bravo, because I am bold, black, and addicted to Bravo. But I love when I can have episodes where I have other people who share those same titles join me for some interesting conversation. And I'm so excited about my guests today. I have Kara and Kaya and Stephanie. I'm going to, well, first of all, welcome all of you. Thank you for joining me.
Hi. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have this conversation. To start, I'm going to let each of you introduce yourselves and just tell everybody a little bit about you, what you do, where to find you. Kara, do you want to go first?
Sure. My name is Kara Berry. I'm a host of a podcast called Everyone's Business But Mine. It is pop culture, reality TV recap, whatever's happening in the news, petty things, dramatic things, true crime. It's a lot of fun. You can find me everywhere.
Love it. Thank you. Kaya.
Hi, I'm Kaya. I'm the host of Bravo While Black. And I also host Clubhouses with my friend Aaron, and Stephanie is there. And also Kendrick from the Reality and Comics 2 podcast. I also do social media for an entertainment website called The Dip. So you can find me at The Dip or at Bravo While Black.
Yes, and The Dip is so funny. And if you are watching, hopefully you're watching all of these, Kendrick and Aaron were on the last Scoop episode, It's Raining Men. So we had a fun time chatting with them. Stephanie.
Hi, everybody. I feel like I should have changed my name because it's Kara and Kaya and Stephanie. It's like, wait, what?
Well, you have a Nyemade in there too, so we're all right.
I know, I was like, wait, I'm left out. I'm kidding. But hi, I am the host of the Mocha Minutes podcast. So I am like Kara. It's really, I call it the potpourri category of Black shit. Like, this is Jeopardy. I'm like, yeah, you never know what's in the category each week, but I talk about Bravo's, current events, sports, movies, we recap shows, my social life, mental health, literally anything that's going on that week, we're talking about it. So it's a weekly topical podcast. And I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm glad that you are joining us, and all of you are joining us today. Before we talk about our topic today, and our topic is called I Get It From My Mama. So we're talking about some mother-daughter relationships. But one thing I like to do, since the show is called Bold, Black, and Addicted to Bravo, is make sure that we are all card-holding members with our Black cards. So to start, we're going to answer a few questions from Black Card Revoked. Now, you guys have looked out because the other groups, we had some individual questions. These are all, because I found some mama themed ones. So these are all majority wins. So that's the question, and the answer is whatever we all agree on. All right?
Sounds fun.
Okay. According to Momma, what needs to be done when a storm is coming? Unplug the TV, get off the phone, don't stand by a window, light some candles.
Unplug the TV.
Mine would be get off the phone.
How is this possible? Because I was going to say all of that and light some candles. It's like, no, y'all better stop doing everything. God is thinking. It's like, God is thinking right now, don't do nothing.
All right. So that one, we don't have a majority on that. I was going to say don't stand by the window.
See, it's like, for me, it's like, it could be all of the above. It's all of that.
Okay, well, at our own, all of the above. Okay. What might Momma say you need in order to get some McDonald's? A job. B, a clue. C, good grades. D, McDonald's money.
McDonald's money.
McDonald's money.
McDonald's money.
Yeah.
See, that was an easy one.
Yeah, that was easy. I should start with that one. What's one thing your mama used to whip you with? A shoe, a switch, a belt, anything within reach?
D, anything within reach.
Oh, wait.
I got a spoon once, but other than that, she didn't. I'm Liberian. We had other punishments. It wasn't always whipping.
See, even though I'm Southern, she never got the switch. It was always a belt.
A belt?
I got a hand once, but I've only ever been spanked twice, so I'm a bit even uniform.
Yeah, and then when I got older, it was just taking away the electronics, which is like, just give me the whooping.
Right.
I need my Game Boy, please.
Yeah.
Please
Mama,
don't take my Sega Genesis. I need to be that level of Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic 2.
Right.
The best.
All right. What's something your mama told you to do that she can do herself? Take the chicken out, turn the lights out, watch her kids go to the store.
Take the chicken out.
Take the chicken out.
Yeah.
That's
You get up
Although
at 5
the
o'clock in the
lights
morning,
triggered
just
me
grab
too.
it.
Looks like you walked by it. Yeah. That, and I do have to say, I had to light one sometimes, and it's just like, what? Why are you calling me to turn off your light? Like, you turn it off. Now later, though.
Or pass the remote.
I'm
surprised remote control is not on there. It's like,
I feel like
remote control?
when I was younger, I was like, but now that I'm older, I'm like, if I have kids, the least you can do is turn off the lights so I can have your remote.
Give me the remote from right there. Yes, give it to me.
Yeah.
I don't need to move.
All right. What sale can you find any Black mom at? Macy's, the local grocery store, JCPenney's, or Coach?
JCPenney for my
I was
mom.
going to say JCPenney's too.
Yeah.
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 That's my grandma's favorite. Mind you, I used to work at Macy's, so I'm like, oh, it's JCPenney.
Yeah.
The white ladies are at the white sale at Macy's.
At Macy's. What's your mama's Saturday night turn up? Church, line dancing, gambling, a ball of regrets, and Lifetime. Ooh, Lord.
What's
Mine was
a
always
regrets?
working, to be honest.
None of them for mine. I guess Lifetime. She does like a Lifetime movie, but not the Bottle of Regrets.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom's all about the Hallmark. She loves her Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
Like Lifetime's a
SVU.
little too scandalous for her, even though I love Lifetime. It's a little scandalous for her, but she loves her Hallmark.
See, mine loves a good SVU marathon. She's like, oh, especially if it involves Stabler. She's like, yeah, so I'm in for the night.
All right, last question. What might mama tell you before going in any store? A, don't touch anything. B, don't ask for anything. C, don't look at anything. D, all of the above.
It's A and B.
It's A.
It's a B for me.
It's a D for me, all of the above.
Really?
Don't touch, don't look, don't
And
ask.
for me, it was always don't touch for me. It's like, don't touch anything.
Yeah, I was definitely all of the above. But that's probably because I would always look and touch and ask for things. So she just had to cover her bases with me.
So can I tell y'all a funny story? So my mother always said, don't touch anything. We were in like, one of the Goodwill stores, and the worker, the salesperson, she was in the aisle, and she got nasty with me. So my mother, who always said, don't touch nothing, she took every single thing off of each shelf and put it on the floor, and then we left.
Daddy, I love that.
She was like, hold up, who the hell you? Because it was also a white lady, so she's like, oh, let me activate Petty Pendergrass.
Wow. Well, at least you got to see your other side.
And I mean every single thing.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, and I think we're all good. I think we got a majority rules for most of those. So I think we all are card-holding members and can continue this conversation.
We all got the same mama.
It's called I Get It From My Mama. Bravo has obviously a lot of women relationships because it's centered around women. So that includes oftentimes their relationships with their moms. So I wanted to talk about some of those and how we felt about them. So my first one, thinking about Candy's relationship with Mama Joyce. Do you think it's acceptable to allow your parents to speak negatively about your significant other? And if so, at what point do you step in and draw the line?
Ooh, I just did a rewatch of Candy's wedding special not too long ago. And so this is very fresh in my mind. The way that Mama Joyce treats Todd, and specifically his mom and his belated father, is just so beyond disrespect. And the way Candy handles it is, I feel, as somebody who identifies more with Candy than any other housewife, she behaves very poorly. And she does not... She has that old school mentality of your mom is the leader, you don't do anything, you don't challenge them. And she more than a lot of people needs to divorce yourself from that, because Mama Joyce is a killer. Okay.
She's a sniper, honey.
Yeah.
From the side.
Mm.
I mean,
From the
she's
front and the
from,
side.
I was gonna say from the front. She comes shots fired.
She just come. I mean, it's a gang of she is the 10 rings, okay? She's the gang by itself. She is everybody. She cutting you all over the place. Because it's interesting when I think about it, because we wouldn't know that much about Mama Joyce if Candy wasn't on this show. And this is not new. She has always been acting like this. It's like she's very opinionated, and it's because I don't want to say aloud, because it's like she can't tell her mother what to say, but you're not really going, look, Mama, you got to stay out of this. She did it kind of more interesting enough. It seemed like, I don't know if it's just me, she did more with AJ, but it's like he had 75 children and an orphanage and 1.5 cars. So I think it was different. But with Todd, it was like he's also a Leo. So it's like, you're only going to do that for so long. He's like, yeah, you keep talking. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you keep talking, Joyce. But the thing about it is like, you see the pain of everybody seeing your relationship with your mother, and Candy's just like, I hear y'all. I'm like, I don't give a goddamn. She sacrificed so much for me. She can do whatever the hell she want to do, but she gonna have to like put in a boundary. I think she's starting to do it, but maybe not. I don't know, because we're seeing less of Mama Joyce, so we don't know if those boundaries are there.
Right.
yeah.
For me, I think that it just depends on the kind of relationship we also have with your husband, because I feel like if you come to your mom with your problems every time you have a problem, then it's like, okay, your mom gets the impression that your husband isn't doing what needs to be done. And especially if your mom is the one who has to pick up the pieces, then she's going to feel away. Like, that's your child. I understand that your husband is your husband, but at the end of the day, so it's hard for me to think about. But at the end of the day, I feel like you can divorce your husband, but then your mom is always going to be there. So in my experience, it's like anytime I've had a bad breakup or a serious relationship, I actually take, what my mom says to heart more, and I'll let her speak negatively about them if they're acting negatively, because I'm venting to my mom. I'm telling her what they're doing, and if their behavior is not what it's supposed to be, then she has the right to have her opinion. As far as the disrespect goes, I don't think that she should disrespect Todd the way that she does, specifically Mama Joyce, because you are on TV, so it's not even in your house anymore. Like, the whole world is watching.
Right.
So it's just like two sides of the coin there.
Right. Because it's like, how many bad relationships between mothers and daughters do we not see? It's like Candy is under the magnifying glass of, girl, what you doing? But it's like, some of y'all, like, y'all don't even do the half. It's like, you don't do half the stuff that Candy and Mama Joyce does. And I think I agree with you, Kaya, because I'm the same way. When I break up with somebody, my mom's like, when you're done with him, I'm done with him.
Yeah.
Well,
and
it's hard for them to ever let that go.
Correct.
Especially if you're in a relationship where you break up and get back together, some things that are forgivable to you aren't forgivable to your mother, especially when they've had to sit through that and see you hurt like that. It's like, me personally, my mom's always going to be there. So
she's like, I'm my loyalty is with you, not him.
Yeah, I just think that, and I think you make a really good point. I'm always careful with like sharing relationship stuff with family and friends, only because not everybody has the ability to understand that you're just sharing a part of the relationship. And like for every one bad thing you're sharing, there's like 10 good things probably that you haven't shared with them. And if you are constantly just only sharing the negative stuff, that's going to be their viewpoint of that person. And then you can't turn around and be upset, whether it's your mother or your friends. You can't turn around when the person who you've only told negative things about your significant other, and the person who loves you enough to be your friend or your sibling or your parent, and now they're hearing that person is hurting you, you can't be upset when that person doesn't like your significant other. And I'm not saying lie about them, but just take it with a grain of salt, what things you share with them. So for me, especially with family, and if it's someone I think it's long-term, I hold off on sharing things because they don't need to know everything, especially if I want them to still have a good viewpoint. Now, when I'm done and I'm done, then I tell my mom. And once I've told my mom, you're not coming back.
She's like, okay, so no, I'm not going to call him. I'm not, because I don't get those mothers that call exes and invite them places. I said, I'm
no,
sorry,
my
what
mom
in the world are you doing?
My mom is super respectful and super like team us, but also team our spouses. So like, or significant others. So if we're dating someone, she loves them. She's friendly with them. But also like when it's done, it's done. She's not one of those, like, no matter how great she may have thought the person was, she's not going behind our back.
I'm done with you. It's like, if I'm done and this is an ex, you don't invite my ex to Thanksgiving because I will throw those mashed potatoes in his face.
Yeah.
It's not a Kris Jenner situation.
Oh, absolutely.
No.
Like,
no.
Why is he here? Oh, I like him so much. I don't give a good goddamn what you like.
Yeah, that's always been awkward to me. But then
especially
as far as
when
like
there aren't kids involved, because when there's kids involved, I totally understand if you want to keep you know, in the family to a certain extent. But if there's no kids, there's nothing tying us down, especially if there wasn't a marriage and kids. There's no reason that they need to be here. I don't care if that's a friend or not. Bye.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. And then as far as the disrespect, like you're not disrespecting my spouse. Like, I mean, I have huge issues with disrespect of people in general. Like even within friendships, like if I have a problem with you, I'm one of those, like, we'll talk behind closed doors. Like I'll bring it to your attention. I'm not like a yes me friend where everything you do is golden, but I'm also not an embarrass you in front of other people person. So we'll, you know, just deal with it separately. So I certainly would not stand for my mother disrespecting my spouse and stuff in public, because it would be different also if it was, oh, they're filming a reality TV show and we're seeing scenes behind like what's happening at the house, where they're having these conversations at the house, or where she's disrespecting him at the house. That would be bad enough. Yeah. But to have it on TV and they're in public places and she's still saying stuff about him to all these other people, like, as much as I get it, because my mom is my reason why I do so many of my things to, you know, make sure she's provided for and taken care of, and her sacrifices. So I get that from Candy, but at the same time, like, just being a respectful, I don't think it's asking too much to ask your mother to treat you like a respectful human being.
Especially
at the end of the day, even if you're her child, you're still a human being. And if she wouldn't do it to another grown adult, she shouldn't do it to you.
Yeah, not a difficult ask to be like, please, can you not pay people to try and catch my man out cheating on me?
Because I was going to ask you that, because you're rewatching it, because when it came to Todd, it's like she just didn't like him. It wasn't like he had did something. It was like, so that's different than your spouse has been cheating on you and they have a baby on you, or they just nasty to you. It's like you just didn't like him. That's totally different.
Right.
He seemingly hadn't done anything to you. It's like you just don't like him. It's like, okay.
Yeah, she just felt like he was not in her league, and that he was an opportunist, and that his mother was a lady of the evening, and then his father was a pimp. And you know,
if you thought that, if you didn't want to come and like wear out that wig, Joyce, you might want to shut up. If you be a lady of the night. Ladies of the night can fight, so I don't know why you keep talking.
Right.
I mean, hopefully they've calmed down. They've been together a while now. They have kids. Like at the end of the day, too, it's bad enough talking about him in general as a spouse to your child, but now he is also the father of your grandkids, or, you know, so it's just like chill a little bit, because those kids now have to see footage of their grandma talking all this crap about their dad, and that's good stuff.
And she was icy to Kayla. It's like, okay, so she did nothing. Why didn't
she's innocent.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, come on, Joyce, you're doing a little too much.
I think it's always interesting. It's always hard too. You know, and I'm single lady. I'm single, but but it's always hard too. I feel like when you look at people in those relationships, like, who's your family once you get married, right? Because like Kaya said, at the end of the day, whether you break up or divorce, your family's still your family. But also when you get married, like that's really should be your family now, kind of over your other family, maybe. I don't know, like what do you guys think? Like once you get married, which family comes first?
Well, in the olden days, if you go like by the Bible, once you're married, that's your family. But we're in a modern world, and I'm more of a realistic person. Divorce is very common. Whoever is is there for you your whole life, which would be for me, my mom has been there my whole life. And when I have kids, she's going to be there for my kids, you know? So it's not necessarily that I'm going to be putting my mom over my husband. It's just that I don't think that this whole, your husband is your only family thing is something to live by, because back then divorce wasn't common, and, you know, women had to stay and stick it out. And now we have a lot more options.
Mm-hmm. But if let's say there's a debate about something, your mom thinks one way and your husband thinks one way, whose side?
Give me like an example.
Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
You know what? It might be a good example of the Ocephos.
Because Wendy, they're actually my next question topic.
Because you think about that, because it's kind of like when you think about if you're marrying somebody, it's like they'll ask parents, are you losing your child or are you gaining a child? And it's interesting when you hear people say, I feel like I'm losing my child, as opposed to once, oh no, I'm gaining a child because then my family is getting bigger. But everybody doesn't think that way.
Right. But that is a good example. So like, let's say you're significant, like the relationship in general. So it's not even a situation. It's like you have found the love of your life. That is who you want to be with. And your mother says, like, if you're with that person, I cannot support you or be in your life anymore. Like, who do you pick?
Oh yeah, we can have the Biermans, because Croy doesn't talk to his parents. Right. And I'm like, wait, and it just came out of nowhere. It's like, wait a minute, why? And then she doesn't talk to her parents. I'm like,
both of them.
It's like, this is so weird, because it was kind of like Croy didn't really give a reason.
But but in that situation though, for you,
I would definitely have to choose to marry who I want to marry.
Yeah.
But luckily, like, I don't have if my mom disliked someone, she would eventually come around. Like, she wouldn't cut me off. But if I was in that situation, you know, I want to marry, I want to have a union, I want to have a family and have kids and all that good stuff. So I'm going to have to go against my mother's word for sure.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt. What about, at the end of the day, you know?
I mean, I think about this Kim Bierman situation a lot. I am very curious about what happened there. I mean, in a perfect world, neither side makes you be in a position where this is even an issue. But I mean, it's for me, it would just be very dependent on what the issue was. But I would be very disappointed in both parties if I felt like I had to choose. That would not be fair to me.
Yeah. Because it was kind of like she wouldn't even let her mama use a bathroom in her house. I was like, this is so weird about this. And then Corey's parents, it was just like they live in another state, so it seemed like easier, but they had an issue with Kim. They're like, yeah, we don't know about her, because they seem very conservative, but it still was like, he's like, I don't give a goddamn. I love her. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting too. Like, I grew up, I'm really, really blessed. I'm very close to my family. Like, my siblings are my besties. I love my mom. So sometimes it'd be hard for me to not to understand people who didn't put family first and didn't, you know, think that way. And now I've just come to realize, like, some people, family means nothing. They have toxic people in their lives that they need to keep out of their lives, whether there's blood or not. So I'm just like, whatever works for you.
Right.
But I do love that you mentioned. Oh, go ahead.
For me, I'm very close with my mom, but it's just my mom. Like, for some reason, the rest of my family, we can't get it together. So my friends are more of my family, even though we're not blood related. I see them more often. I call them when I get sick. I call them in emergencies. So it's whoever you consider to be your family, whether they're blood or not. And liking my partner, like, I want my friends to like my partner, because that's who I consider my family. So I understand both sides of the issue. It's just, I'm hoping that I never have to go through that.
Yeah, me too. I want to end up with someone who I hope fits in with my family. And I would assume so. Like, I assume if they love me and I love whoever I end up with, and they'll love whoever I end up with, because that's how it should go.
Yeah.
As I was mentioning, so I did want to talk about Wendy next. So from the Real Housewives of Potomac, I'm using Wendy and her mom as an example, but we're just going to speak in general as well.
Mhm.
But Wendy has this wonderful career. She does CNN commentary. She's a John Hopkins professor. And recently she's told her mom that she, doesn't want to be a professor anymore. She might want to do candles, can I just, on a side note, and I say this with love. I love Wendy. She's one of my favorites. I was so excited when she was coming on the show. I was really surprised by her lack of business acumen as far as getting the candle stuff going. I was
Mhm.
truly shocked by someone who literally I think is brilliant, didn't seem to have even done the basic research for this candle business before making a candle. Is really surprising to me. Anyways, but
Oh no, it wasn't
question,
surprising to me either. But it was interesting
was?
that you keep talking about your husband got an MBA and you didn't talk to him, but you went to Karen.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, too.
It's like,
So with her mom, though, part of her hesitancy was because her mom has sacrificed a lot for her to get where she is. And I think most people feel that, but especially those of us who have immigrant parents who came over, learned the language. It's on another level for us. So
yeah.
how beholden are we to the sacrifices of our parents and their expectations of our lives?
That's a great question. And I think as time goes on, that conversation evolves and that answer evolves. I love watching the situation, or really anything that has to do with Wendy, because I'm not African. I was born in America. I don't have any ties to Africa, but I love the culture. I love being able to see these relationships that I hear my friends talk about on television. And I think there's a lot of similarities between the Black African community or Black American community and the African community in that sense of how much do we owe our parents? How much do we give to them? But I feel like it might be a little bit more intense when it comes to Africans. So I would really like to know your answer and how you feel.
Yeah.
I am blessed that I had, even though my mom was very traditional and very Liberian, she was also very a little bit more modern in her thinking, which unfortunate for her, because now I'm a wild woman modern in my thinking. I'm free. But she's never really tried to force us to do anything that we didn't want to do. And she's always made it clear that she's proud of us no matter what we do. But you do definitely feel that level of I need to do something or be something to show her that her sacrifices were worth it. And I think for me, especially because I don't want to get married. I don't want to have kids. I wouldn't mind getting married if I found a male besties. I don't want to have kids. So knowing that stuff is especially important in the Liberian culture, and knowing that I'm not going to be able to give her that to be proud of, it makes me feel like an extra burden of being successful in every other way. Just so it's okay, well, she didn't have this, but she's doing all of these things. And even though I know in the hierarchy of everything for traditional Liberians that being married with kids bumps all of my other achievements. But for me and for my mind, I at least know that I have that to say hey, your sacrifice wasn't just so I could be a bum chilling, the extra classes you put me in, the sacrifices you made, I'm doing something with all that. So I do feel beholden to being successful, but I am blessed that I feel that I am given the ability to be successful in my own terms. She doesn't force me to be successful by her definition of successful.
Right. And that's great, because that's why I love having, because Wendy is one of my faves on Potomac as well. I like having her there because we are now not necessarily having a monolithic view of Blackness, especially on Potomac. That's why I like seeing her there. I loved her sip and see. I'm like, can I come? I'm I love when she had her dinner with her family. Can I come? You're not that far, okay? You're not far from Hopkins. I can just come over and look at Eddie's cheekbones, okay? So just do it. I'm not gonna touch the cheekbones.
Idris Elba?
Yeah, girl. It's TikTok one day. It's girl, I'm gonna tap you on your lace front. He does not look like Idris Elba. He is very handsome, but he's not Idris, okay? He is not. So it's very interesting to hear Wendy just go, my mother wanted me to do this. It's like success is being a doctor. So that's why she's like, I'm a doctor. I'm not a medical doctor, but I'm a PhD and you're a doctor. I do HR. So that makes you a doctor if you have a PhD. Just saying. So I it's always so interesting to watch Wendy because she wants to break out, but she knows that I have a pedigree and I have like a life to live up. I have a standard to live up to. But after 4 degrees and her successes, she was like, where else am I going? I am a doctor. It's like, now I can just go have fun because I'm settled into a great life. So where else am I going?
Yeah, I like that she's trying to own that and own herself. And we talked about it a little bit on the first episode with the respectability politics and her just wanting to be herself. And I like that she's trying to show that you can be as successful and do the other things. And if you want to be a little ratchet on your way to teaching class, that's fine. Listen to trap music and then go do a
please do
BNN commentary. Like, do you know?
Yeah.
Kaya, what do you think?
Well, my mom is, a very unique case. She grew up in the South, when, things are, people are racist now, but back when she was growing up, it was just
more
terrible.
overt.
Like, I can't even imagine. So I do feel guilty that maybe I'm not living to the potential that she wants me to live up to, because I am very smart and I can go very far when I apply myself. But I just don't want to be the kind of person that she wants me to be when it comes to career wise. Like, she would rather me have like a desk job or, like something more regular, like an office job where it's like, no, like I want my personality to be my job.
Yeah.
So what I do notice though, is that the more I go further in what I want to do, as long as it's not something that she finds, brazen or disrespectful, I have to show her like, hey, I have made, money off of, just being me. Like, this is what's working. So as long as I can show her that I can make a living for myself and help her out and, buy everything that I need to survive and, keep my health up and things like that. If I show her that, then she'll come along. So I have to kind of like lead the way.
Yeah, I think that often in these cases, I mean, yes, there are some parents who like want their kids to do well because it makes them look good and that's their main focus. But I also think in a lot of cases, it's just kind of like what Kaya said, like they want to make sure that you are taken care of. They want to make sure you can cover your bills. They want to make sure you're going to be okay. And unfortunately, I think especially for those of us in creative spaces, it's hard to get our parents to understand like, oh, I'm going to do this thing that's not conventional, but I promise I'll be able to take care of myself. Like you almost have to wait. And I do that with like the different things I do and the different projects. There are certain things where I just don't talk about it with people until I'm ready to be like, here it is, because I know that they're either going to be like, oh, you're doing too much already, or, oh, is that a good idea? Or, oh, does that fit into your brand? And I just like, just let me do my thing. Because not the thing with being a visionary is that other people can't always see the
come on, air italics, girl.
Like, you know what I mean? Like the thing is that other people can't always see the vision, and I used to waste my breath trying to explain it to people, and now I'm just like, I explain it to people I think might get it, and everyone else, like you'll see the product when everyone else does. And it's hard because with a lot of our parents, their view of success is still very much like corporate America and climbing that ladder, and they don't really see how there's an entire world outside of that you can actually, there's a ways to make money and be happy doing what you want to do. It takes work. And our work might not be one steady paycheck. It might be little paychecks from different projects all over the place.
Might be quarterly paychecks that get you through each quarter.
Right.
It's like, okay, second quarter check is here. Oh, good. Mortgage paid for the next 3 months.
And it might
look like you always on that phone. You always on that phone. That's the problem. You always on the phone. It's like, no,
it's like this is helping me pay my bills, mama.
Yeah.
I need to see the timestamp for this so I can record it and send it to you. You're always on your phone. I'm like, but you don't understand. Okay, when you are saying the word "I'm on my phone," you're thinking like a telephone. I'm on a mini computer. Okay, that's what I'm on all day.
And I'm
on my phone, just doing whatever, clicking through. I'm answering emails. I'm creating stuff. I'm editing stuff. Yes, I'm always on my phone because I'm working. And I'm not saying like don't put your phone down, but it is annoying sometimes when people like act Like
it's just a hobby.
You're just
like,
you're
no,
just
this
on
is
your phone.
actually
You're just on your phone. And
like, what I want to do.
yeah, and they'll praise the stuff that you create, and you just want to be like, how do you think that comes about? Those cute like housewife clips that I do that are 15 seconds. Do you know how long it took to record each one separately and then to edit them back and forth and put it in the slice? Like, those 15 seconds cost like some hours, and you do it, and that's fine. But it's just like when people love the finished product, but then criticize you for the work that goes into it. Like when you go out with someone, like, oh, you're taking another picture, you're taking a video. Okay, but you're the first person who says you like the video recaps that I do. How do you think that happens?
Part.
If I don't take
it's just like they don't understand. They don't
Right.
understand like social media. They don't understand the different forms of media, that we create and we use through our phone, and also how phones can connect you to literally anyone in the world. So.
Yeah. Correct. And even the little things, like even when I say like, oh, those clips take hours, A, I don't mind because I enjoy them, but B, that has turned into other companies reaching out to me to do those little clips for them. And so most of the things I do, it's a mix of I enjoy it, but also a mix of like it's creating a portfolio for myself so I can go out to other people and say, hey, here's what I've done. You can see it because I like I was saying earlier, you can tell people your vision, but it's a lot easier if you can see it. So if you can show them, hey, I did this and this is where I put your product stuff, it makes it a lot easier. But it's really just trying to get people to understand that it's okay if your success isn't what they thought it should look like. Even especially in like the creative space, there's so many times I feel like where people act like unless you're like winning Oscars, winning Grammys, winning whatever, you're not successful.
Big sponsorships, you're sponsored by Spotify,
but
you're not making it.
People on like regular levels are successful. I was thinking about that because I have a friend who does performances and it's so easy to be like, oh, she bartends and she does these little performances on the weekends. But I'm like, hey, she gets to live her dream on stage on the weekends and only has to offset it by like bartending half the time. Meanwhile, I spend 40 hours a week at a job I hate. Like, who's really living the better life in this situation?
Right. Yeah. Like I have a friend of mine. I've known her since college. She does poetry. She has an Etsy shop where she makes jewelry. She has put out a children's book, and she did an intro for Anthony Hamilton's new album. That's Rebecca DePaz. Yeah. She's also a doctor. She's Dr. DePaz.
Oh, okay.
So it's like you just look at it like, and she's like, she still has like a regular job. She's like, yeah, I do all of this, and also I'm doing this piece for an album for a recording artist. It's like when I was at my I'm still at my church. It's just everything's virtual, and we're in a pepperoni pizza. Like one of the minister of music, he has recorded albums and has Grammys with big artists. I'm like, wait, what? Like, oh, and you see him every Sunday. It's like,
yeah,
okay.
Well, I mean, and I think that's why it's important not to be beholden to your parents, because they don't always see the vision. As wonderful as our parents are, as much as we love them, like they lived in a different time. They grew up in a different time. And if you're lucky, you get someone like, I know half the time I explain things to my mom, she doesn't understand, but she always tells me she's proud of me.
Right.
Like
she's like, okay, you don't do it, girl.
Of this, and she doesn't watch Bravo. She's like, I didn't know what you were talking about, but I listened and it sounded so nice. I was like, thanks, Mom.
That's what matters at the end of the day. It's the support. My mom still doesn't understand the concept of a podcast. She's like, can I see the podcast? I'm like, oh God.
She's like, it's on the radio. I turned on the Spotify, Stephanie, and I heard my daughter. It's like, oh my God, it's my daughter. I'm like, wait, what? It's kind of like when you think about our parents, they grew up in a time where respectability was safety. And now we've evolved past that because it doesn't matter how respectable I look. I'm still Black, so you're still going to have an issue. But 20, 40 years ago, it's like you had to do this for safety. It was like, so it's like I never knock respectability to that point because it was like, so it was a lot more overt. Yeah. People were disappearing. So it's kind of like you go, no, I understand where that comes from. Safety. At this point, it's not safety because they don't care.
Yeah. I mean, and you actually gave us a great transition into our next one, which is a little bit of a difficult conversation or a difficult topic.
Oh no.
We're going to talk about everyone's favorite housewife this season, Ramona. Because I need a deep sigh before I talk about Ramona.
Yes.
To gather the strength. Yeah, they're the string.
Girl, take it to the king.
Ultimately the question is, how do you deal with a mother who's culturally insensitive and doesn't want to change, right? It'd be different if they're like, oh, I see it, and they're a Sonia where we have to listen, or even a Heather where they try and get it wrong but still try. But how do you deal with someone who's just like, no, I refuse to see your viewpoint? Like, so I'm thinking about like Avery, she's gone to college, and we don't hear a lot about her viewpoints, but I'm just gonna hope on a prayer that they're a little bit more liberal than her mom. Oh, you don't think so?
I don't think that Avery, I think that Avery, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree with Avery.
Pretty much.
Think so?
That's why I can't really like relate
It's like,
to this.
it's more like Vicky and her son, Ryan, Ryan, whatever her son's name is.
I stopped watching
OC
a long time
because it's
ago.
like Avery don't seem that different from Ramona, because she's not saying anything different, but Vicky's son who got vaccinated and his mama is saying, you broke my heart, was like,
well, how do you deal with that in that situation then? Like, how do you deal with having a mother who's culturally insensitive, or even just a family member? I mean, it's called I get it for my mama, but even just a family member.
Yeah.
I feel like if it's a family, like if it's a person that doesn't need to be in my life, or that I didn't grow up with or didn't do anything for me, then it's easy for me to be like, okay, I don't need you in my life, so I'm done with you. But if it's someone who raised me, I have respect for, and we agree on a lot of things, but we just disagree on a really huge thing, I'm going to be like I guess you said Vicky's son, I'm going to try to teach them this is a different world, regardless of the fact that if they want to hear it or not, because I have to be around them, but at the same time, I have to be true to myself and try to make, this world a better place, whether they want to hear it or not. And if they decide to stop talking to me for it, then cool, but I'm not going to shut up about what I believe in.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were Avery after that All Lives Matter situation with Ramona, I would have locked her in a room and said, hey, before you get mic'd up for this next season, we're going to have to go through some things. So you don't embarrass me. I would be mortified if I were Avery, even if she, like you said, and I believe you, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. The court of public opinion is going to come for her, and they're going to come for Avery by extension. And like, you just can't have me out in these streets looking crazy, girl.
That part. I think a good person to look at is Giselle and her daughters. I mean, they're not that fundamentally different, but they're very open with their mother and saying, hey, I need this from you. And they're like, my girls tell me I'm not that sensitive. I'm not, empathetic with them. So let me change. And she's open to change. And mind you, they're not even adults yet. They're like teenage girls, and they're very open. So you kind of like just go, Giselle is your mama. And then the one saving grace about Giselle is that she's actually a really good mother, and she listens.
Yeah. Right. I was just about to say, like, it's interesting. I feel like people kind of try to drag her about her kids. Like, oh, even your kids don't like you. But I think that it says a lot that they feel comfortable saying those words to their mother. And it's not like, oh, we're angry and I'm saying it to fight. It's like, no, we're having a conversation, and you've created an atmosphere where I feel comfortable telling you how I feel. Like, to me, that is more than a kid just sitting and mimicking their parent. A kid feeling comfortable to speak their truth and say how they feel to their parent. That speaks to good parenting to me. So like, that's my one thing with Giselle is that she,
because the majority of their lives, their parents have been not together. So here it is, the majority of their life they haven't been together. It's like, girl, no, we don't like this. So when I hear people say, see, his own daughters don't like him. Yeah, hi. So my dad could be a piece of shit. I can say that, you can't. Let's be very clear. I can say that shit, you can't.
Right. Yep.
Because he wasn't absent from their lives. They were just divorced.
Right.
Right. And they just know that their mom doesn't need to go back with that. I don't know. Giselle's very interesting. She's very, I feel like I've been studying her more this season. She's one of those people she's one of the reasons I like Potomac, because I dislike her, but I don't like really dislike her.
Yeah.
Like, because she owns how messy she is. And she
is like, a Virgo through and through, child.
But when she was on that couch and like, when she was on that couch and Wendy was yelling at her and she was just sipping her drink, looking at her like you lost her mind. is giving me life, like the queen of unbothered. She reminded me of, not to cross TV show references, but Mimi on Love and Hip Hop, who would always just like eat her sandwich while people were fighting with her, or
people would like try to eat her up, and she like, I'm gonna eat this.
Yeah,
y'all gonna
that's
go to
what
hell.
It reminded me of, and Giselle was just sitting there
like just Giselle. Like, it's just like, I like Kenya too. It's just like, I like them, but I just hate some of the things that they do.
Right. That's why I love Potomac is the best ensemble on Bravo of Housewives, because it's kind of like it just works for them to not like each other. I'm like, yeah, if they all of a sudden were like going out and having fun, it's like, what the hell is going on? Girl, no, we don't want that. Continue being frenemies. I love Giselle. I don't know what it is. I'm like, I could see the forest beyond the trees of the Green Eyed Bandit Apologist Society that I'm in. I'm in the Robin Dixon division.
Oh yeah, you're team
for Giselle. And it's kind of like I'm like, oh, that's pretty effed up, but yeah, she ain't the only messy person on this show.
It would be boring without them, and I don't think her damage is never like that much damage. It's like a little pot stirring, and then it's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, so Robin isn't that big of a deal for me, but just Giselle is like, I can't see Potomac without Giselle.
Yeah. Oh no, Robin could go, but Giselle can't leave.
I need Robin to dance around. All I need her to do is be our video model.
I do enjoy
dance around.
Yeah, I feel like we always need like a boring one. You know, we always need.
It's kind of like everybody can't be turned up. We need some parsley on the plate.
Balance.
It's like
you do, but we'll save Robin for another time. To end though for Potomac, you know, because they I guess have really brought those mother-daughter relationships. So I'm sure you know which one I will be talking about next, which is Candace and her hitting her in the face first mother. How do we feel about that relationships and untangling the claws of our mothers when we are adults?
The most fascinating mother-daughter relationship on Bravo, for sure. Because Dorothy is a therapist and she actively uses
that's the part that trips me out.
She's a master manipulator.
She's a therapist.
It's actually sick how she like uses this against her own daughter. I think it's very interesting that what we do see of Candace's sister and her mom's relationship, it is healthy. It's
correct.
Like they have a healthy discourse and dialogue with one another. It's so fascinating to me.
It's like watching a slow moving car wreck, because you just sit there and go, I feel like we focus so much on that relationship because Candace was so honest about the relationship.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of mother-daughter relationships on Bravo that is like, everybody's not that honest. Like Quiet as a Kept, Candy wasn't all that honest. It's just that Joyce just kept talking. But with Candace, she was just so honest.
I think it's honestly, I think it's also what they bring to the table, because it's like, you know, like Kara said, like she's a therapist. It's different when you like see a mother-daughter arguing and they're, you know, doing things where you're like, oh, I wouldn't do it that way, or I wouldn't say it that way. But then when you see it with someone who in your mind should know better than to manipulate and gaslight and do all those things, and you see them actively using it on someone, you're like, wait, what's happening right now? Because you feel like those should be the person to be able to stop it the most. And then also with Candace, my issue with Candace has always been that I think she's so smart and she's so funny. But when she gets upset, like the way things flip, and I don't know if that's from a lifetime of dealing with her mother, but like she loses all barriers and gets so inappropriate. And it's just like, oh, I wanted to like you, but girl, your mouth, you know?
I love it, because it's like it's vintage Atlanta. Whenever I see her go off the handle, I'm like, girl, this is vintage. And it's also very light for me. I'm like, so I still remember when, like, you know, Claudia and Nene was going at it and nobody said y'all going way too low. They were like, no, y'all fighting, keep going.
Yeah. To speak to your point about how honest Candace was initially with her mom, you know, the thing is they say that there's so many housewives like Kelsey and Camille, where they go on the show to kind of break up. Like this was their ticket to ride. And I wonder if Candace was kind of going on the show as
to get her mama together.
Get away from her mom.
I got to break free from her. And I got
like, I need her to see what I see, because she probably not listening to me when I talk, but now it's on the camera and she's like, oh, because we're seeing less of her, but also she's talking differently. But we also are halfway through the season, child. She about to land the Chris.
Dorothy going Dorothy. That's one thing about her.
Dorothy is going to Dorothy.
I think also Candace having their own place, because it's kind of like that
Yeah.
If you're beholden to your parents,
Mhm.
it's a lot harder to say you're not beholden to them when they're paying your bills or when you're living under their roof still.
That's what
I
I
think
wanted to say.
for-
Is that my
Oh, yeah, go
opinion
ahead.
about Dorothy and Candace is that, like, I love seeing in Black families that Black women and are taking care of, you know, their daughters and you know, paying for them. Like,
Mhm.
I love that. But that's the thing, is that when you have that going on, it kind of maybe not give them the right, but it gives them to feel like they have the right to speak to you any kind of way, because
Yeah.
hey, I'm the one paying your bills, and you have a whole husband, and your whole husband has lived in my house. So it's just like, you
Yeah.
got to break free from that. And
Mhm.
then that's when we can talk about how, you know, to deal with that whole thing.
Yeah, because it's wild. Because it's like Joy's Candy pays for your whole life, and you still
It's the
talk to her like
opposite.
you crazy. It's like,
Mhm.
and she allows it because she's like, I know she sacrificed for me. So it's
Mhm.
interesting, like to watch Candace, because she, I mean, from an affluent background. Her mama's a doctor, and so is her dad. We barely see him. So it's
Mhm.
funny to watch the women how they reacted. And I'm sitting here like, so all of you are affluent right now. Your kids are going to be basically in Candace's shoes, and what would you want other women? Would you want other women to treat her like the way that y'all treat Candace? It's like, wait a minute, Monique, you have 4 homes. So you mean to tell me your kid couldn't live in one of your houses?
Mhm.
For real?
But
If
I
I
mean,
had
I
4
think that
homes,
they
if I had
could.
one home, you could have the basement and live in my house. There's a lot of people like,
Yeah.
my kids ain't gotta leave. If I have a home, they have a home.
I mean, that's how it should be. And I think that unfortunately, like with our culture, we don't have enough history of wealth.
Yeah.
Where we understand like
Yeah.
the way nepotism should work and taking care of your family
Mhm.
should work, where it's
That's how
like
generational wealth is born. It's like,
Yes.
yeah, somebody had to help somebody else. You
to
had to
help them
your
on,
next person.
you know, we do a lot of like, oh, well, I don't want to be in this business. I want to figure it out for myself. Meanwhile, other people's parents are pulling strings for them to get jobs and to get things. And they don't stop it from letting them feel like they deserved and they earned those spots. So like,
exactly. How are we treating our kids saying, pull yourself up by the bootstraps? I'm like, we do. Hello,
But
we
when you don't
realize we
have
ain't
to
got no
do that,
boots.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
like when
we're
you
doing
don't
that to
have
our children.
suffer, then you shouldn't.
Right.
You shouldn't
It's
like. That's what I always tell like my nephews and like my cousins and them. I'm just like, stay home for as long as you possibly
As
can.
long as you can.
Because I am fighting for my life out here.
Honey,
those
like,
bills are no joke.
but it's like, you can't, when it stops is that when you are marrying someone and that person has kids and they have their own business, then that's when you kind of like, you need to go.
Right.
So that's why it gives her the feeling that she has the right to talk all that
she
shit.
thinks she has
It's like,
the leg
oh,
up
you're
to do
living
that.
in my house with your husband. So it's like, I'm paying for both of y'all. So that's why I feel like Dorothy has it. But now that they've moved out, and if she is really paying for her own things, it's time to set more boundaries.
Correct. It makes me think about Arian Foster. So he's a running back, and he literally quit being a running back in the middle of the season. And he said it when he had his podcast. He said, let me tell you something. I beat up my body in the NFL. My kids don't ever have to leave if they don't want to. They can live here the rest of their lives. I'm like, I work too hard. They can stay. I'm not telling them they need to leave. They don't. I said, I know that's right.
Yeah, and I feel like that will be a great topic for another show as well, which is, you know, like how long like can you stay under your parents, and does having that impact people's ability to have motivation? You know, part of my drive, it literally is to get out of the struggle. So like, would I have that drive if I didn't have the struggle? I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people would, some people wouldn't, but I think that's an interesting.
Yeah, because if we look at different cultures, it's like they don't tell their children they have to leave, especially if you're not married. It's like, no, you can stay until this. It's like, but it's more like they put more weight on being married. It's like, oh, you're not married, so you don't have to leave. You can stay here. Here's your room. Here's your wing of the house. You can stay.
Because it's like, why go? It's hard out there, especially when you know how hard it is out there. Like,
exactly.
I want to send my child out there like that.
Right. It's like, oh, it's the lions and tigers and bears on my out there. No, stay here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I have loved having you all on and talking about the mother-daughter relationships. I know we talked about some problematic ones, but let's end on a positive note. Who, like just thinking about the different seasons, the different cities, who's your favorite mother-daughter relationship that we've seen?
Let me think, child. So we got Jersey, New York.
You know what I will say? I do kind of appreciate Luann's relationship with her daughter. They've had their ups and downs, but I don't know. I like this. One of the few things that I like from the season was Luann having this conversation about, I messed up. The alcohol was messing me up. It was bad. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for how I treated you. We rarely see Lou be that transparent and that honest and that forthcoming. And I always felt like she had like a very respectful relationship with her daughter, except for, those years where she stole her house from her and her money and her daughter had to sue her. But other than that, it's been nice.
Other than that.
Yeah. So I like Vanderpump and her daughter. I do like Karen and Raven. I have to say, I really, really like those two. And I have to say, I like Jennifer and Gabby. I like Jennifer as a mother. I love Jennifer on Jersey because she could literally be independent of everything going on.
She's another one. She's a Candace for me. Like I like her so much until she gets angry, and then she
can snatch them pigtails, child. I can't wait for this season. Put it right into my veins because I want to see why Teresa and Margaret are Margaret. I'm like, girl, I would have been not speaking to Teresa if you told somebody to pull my hair and then act like, oh, girl, you mean like, oh, she did it? I mean, it's not like I told her. You did. Oh,
right. She told her.
I also really love Cynthia and Noelle.
Yes, that's a good one.
I like Cynthia and Noelle, and then Raven and Karen.
Yeah, I like all of those.
Anytime we can see Leon, it's like, please put Leon on my screen.
Cynthia and Noelle has a good one, and then I like because it's interesting because I said it, and then I was instantly thinking of all of the housewives and their mothers, and you all went with all of them as mothers with their kids, which I think is interesting. But I instantly thought of back when the first go around with Housewives of Miami. I loved Mama Elsa.
Yes. Oh, yes.
She was the best. That was one of my favorite relationships. But
rest in peace, Mama Elsa.
Yes, rest in peace, Mama Elsa. Well, thank you again so much for joining us, and for joining me. I will include the link to everybody's Instagram and podcast below because they all have wonderful podcasts that you should check out. If you love this conversation, you'll love them each in their own realm, having good things. And we all often cross over to each other's shows as guest stars and people talking, so you can't get rid of us. So hope to see you back. This is Bold, Black, and Addicted to Bravo, and have a great day.